Networking is hard, especially as a college student. Without years of experience, and sometimes even if you are a seasoned professional, it can feel overwhelming, shallow, and all around unpleasant. Besides, how are you supposed to connect with people in your field when you don't even know what your field is? Over the course of this semester, our team of 4 has been aiming to make professional networking more approachable by designing EduLink. EduLink is an app that provides a welcoming environment to explore career options, connect with other college students, find events, join clubs, and build a resume or portfolio. Join us as we walk you through how we identified the challenges students face when networking, researched solutions to those challenges, and iterated on those solutions to create a high-fidelity prototype. We started this project by deciding to focus on the UN goal of decent work and economic growth, and we chose fellow college students as our target audience. To get an initial direction to take our project, we wanted to understand how our target audience relates to our UN goal. This led us to our first method, contextual inquiry. For this method, we each found one person in our target audience to interview and met up with them in person. We then asked them some questions about their career plans, networking experience, what issues they've encountered, and what solutions they've been using. After that, we had them perform a few tasks on their preferred networking platform, such as finding a person to connect with and researching a potential future career. After our studies, it was time to analyze our data into an affinity diagram. We each looked through our notes and pulled out major findings. We then grouped together those findings and drew connections between the categories. This gave us some interesting insights. First, networking platforms feel impersonal. Digital networking is like one unending job interview. You only post about your professional accomplishments, and every message you send out or comment you make is a delicate balance of trying to sound professional yet approachable. No one wants to do that. In fact, one of our participants shared an example where she was notified of a friend's birthday via a networking platform. Rather than wishing the friend a happy birthday on the platform, she went to a third-party app. When asked about this, the participant said it would have felt like she had an agenda if she stayed on the original platform. Second, students feel inadequate for networking platforms. Our 2 less experienced participants described feeling like they can't network effectively because they don't have enough job or internship experience under their belt. Even our more experienced participants described having imposter syndrome and stated that they didn't start networking until they were upperclassmen at the earliest. Prior to that, they felt like they didn't belong on networking platforms. So clearly, there is a lot wrong with online networking. What are some things we can do right? First, career exploration. Our participants stated that they often use these platforms to research careers that they are interested in. Second, connecting with people with similar interests to you. Participants like how easy it is to find and connect with people they already know and new people who they might want to network with. Finally, student organizations and events. Our more experienced participants described these as being invaluable for both exploring careers and meeting new people. These insights gave us a great starting point for our project. We used them to create 2 personas, Liam and Sarah, and write 3 scenarios about these personas. Our contextual inquiries gave us a lot of great information about 4 members of our target audience, but we wanted to hear from more perspectives. This brought us to our second method, tracing social media forums. To do this, we went to Reddit and chose 4 subreddits to scrape data from: r/career guidance, r/mentors, r/jobs, and r/IT career questions. We used the Chrome extension Data Scraper and collected data from 14 posts and 821 comments. We then imported all of that data into Miro and used their AI sorting feature to automatically group the data. We then manually reviewed all of those groupings and turned them into another affinity diagram. In doing so, we realized that most of our data was from people outside of our target audience. Still, we were able to get some useful insights that influenced EduLink's design. One of the biggest takeaways was that participants dislike the use of AI from employers to automatically scan their resumes. They feel like they have to write their resume to please these algorithms and don't know how to do that. This gave us the idea to add a resume building tool that gives tailored recommendations based on what keywords employers in the user's industry are prioritizing. Based on our findings, we created another persona, Morgan, and wrote 3 scenarios based on her. We also gave our app a name, which was Linked EDU at the time, and created a project brief to pitch to our fellow classmates. Following our data scrape, we created our first prototypes. To do this, we worked as a team to narrow down the findings from our previous methods into 4 tasks. Create a profile that includes a user's professional and academic experience, as well as personal interests. Connect with peers from current and previous classes and people with similar interests to the user. Discover and sign up for student organizations and events relevant to the user's interests. And build a resume and portfolio from current and previous professional or volunteer experience and classwork. Each of us chose one task to focus on as we made our first paper prototype. As we completed version 1, we realized that we each came up with different forms of navigation. We wanted our navigation to be consistent across our design, so we researched existing networking platforms to discover conventions for each of our tasks. Based on that research, we created version 2 of our design with consistent navigation across all screens. While we liked the new navigation we created, we wanted to hear what our users thought. This led us to our third method, card sorting. For our card sort study, we recruited over 30 participants from our target audience, asked them a few questions about their networking experience, and had them sort cards that listed features and ideas surrounding our app into categories. We opted for a hybrid method as we knew we wanted some navigational elements like a home page, notifications, and a user profile. We provided those as pre-existing options, however, participants were free to create their own categories as well. This method reinforced a lot of our previous findings, such as networking being intimidating, but also gave us some surprising new insights. One of the biggest ones was that our participants consistently ranked career exploration as the most important feature of our app. Given that up to that point we had been prioritizing networking over career exploration, this finding prompted us to rethink some of our design choices. To integrate this feedback, we created a new section of our app called Career Development. This became the new home for a resume and portfolio builder, provided a career exploration tool where the user could input their interests and get tailored career recommendations, and allowed the user to schedule an appointment with their career coach and view career workshops. Along with this new page, we iterated on the prototype again to create version 3. Now that we had a pretty good idea of what EduLink was going to look like, it was time to see how well the flow worked. We wanted to make sure the design was intuitive enough that users could complete our 4 main tasks without getting lost or confused, so we conducted Wizard of Oz studies. For this method, we made physical versions of our prototype that allowed us to swap out screen elements as participants interacted with them. We then had our 4 participants complete our tasks, noting down any feedback they gave us and spots they got stuck on. This helped us refine our prototype as we moved from wireframing to high fidelity. Our participants found some of the portfolio building flow confusing, so we added clearer buttons and descriptions to those screens. We also learned that participants weren't sure where their liked organizations and events went, so we added a filter specifically for items the user has previously liked. As we prepared to put the final touches on our prototype, we wanted to get some final feedback and insights from our target audience. We did this by conducting a co-design session with 4 activities: inspiration cards, Crazy 6, testing existing systems, and ecosystem loops. We conducted these activities with 4 participants and gained some useful insights that helped us put some final polish on our prototype. From the inspiration cards, we learned how our participants grouped together images and ideas about networking. This reinforced that they tend to see it as an intimidating challenge. From Crazy 6, we learned what features they expect to see on a networking platform and got some sketches of screens that they would like to see. From testing existing systems, we learned what aspects they like and dislike about existing platforms. They stated that they like many of the features, but find them confusing or difficult to locate, especially since many are locked behind a paywall. From ecosystem loops, we got a visual representation of who our participants expect to be stakeholders. This gave an idea of who they expect to be using the platform or be involved with it in some capacity. These findings helped us direct our focus for our final high-fidelity prototype, making sure that it includes features the target audience expects to see, and making sure the platform feels welcoming and approachable. Throughout the course of this project, one theme stood out to us: don't assume you know what is best for your users. Being that we were all in our target audience, there were many times we made design decisions based on what we assumed our users wanted, only to be surprised when our studies provided results to the contrary. This experience taught us the importance of keeping users at the center of the design process from beginning to end, and it's a lesson we will take into our own future careers.